wanted to speak to Steve Wood, perhaps more on domestic policy. I'm not the only person, I think, who's rethought what he thinks of President Bush based on the way he handled the immigration issue. This was classic top-down government. It rivals that of Hillary Clinton on health care, many years back. And it made me think, is this a pattern with President Bush? And has it caused a lot of Americans to make it less likely to vote for Republican candidates? I think it has. I don't think it's just immigration policy. You know, I think it's tax rules on hedge funds, which help a certain group of people. I think it's a number of issues like that that are very much top-down, very corporate. And I think someone like Newt Gingrich has some feel for this, that we lost a lot of the populist feel for this. And I know a lot of people already, they're just not going to vote Republican unless something changes and they have faith in maybe someone like you who's not going to be in the top-down government style of George Bush.
Well, you cover a lot of territory there. Let me just tell you what comes to mind. The last thing in the world I think anybody would accuse me of is being a top-down guy. In the first place, you know, my background is just the opposite. And in the second place, my government service is just the opposite. I think that's a part of my strong federalist belief. I'm very suspicious and very much against a handful of elite people, especially professional politicians, whose motivations really are the wrong place, who are more interested in the next election than they are the next generation, setting rules for everybody else. And that's the big problem. That underlies the growth of government. It becomes more layered and more bureaucratic and more duplicative and more wasteful and so forth, and more removed from the American people. I think this immigration bill was a classic example of Washington not being on the same page as the American people. They were shocked at the reaction they get from this last bill. And, of course, people hadn't forgotten 1986. And the administration tried to sell them the same horse twice. And they weren't buying it. And it was basically saying, secure the border, and then we'll talk about anything else you want to talk about. But I don't want another bill that says you're going to secure the border and you not do it. I want you to secure the border. Then we'll talk about doing it. And I think that I understand the president's motivation. It is a very powerful thing to want to be the president of all the people, to be inclusive, to be generous, and to not have anybody say that you're in any way being prejudiced against anybody. But ultimately, you got to do what's in the best interest of the United States of America. And if you pay a little more for fruit or whatever, the economy, there are economic repercussions of this, but is it going to make it better if we become more and more and more dependent on illegal immigration as a vital part of our economy? For that matter, is it going to make Mexico any better off if they become more and more dependent upon exporting their own people to another country so that they can send money back home? I don't think fundamentally that that's right. And as I said earlier, our immigration policies, I think, are liberal. And you have to simply draw the line at the right place. Where I disagree with the president on domestic policy and economic policy has to do with the use of the veto pen over these spending bills. Now, the fact of the matter is that the non-security related discretionary spending, which is relatively getting smaller and smaller, it's a small pot, but it has been going down, but not enough. In times past, when we've been at war, discretionary spending has grown way down, way down. In other words, they faced up to the fact you can't have guns and butter too forever. Lyndon Johnson learned that. A lot of people have learned that. We didn't learn that. We're continuing on with our spending patterns, just as if nothing ever happened. And when Bush tries to do something that's right, Democrats pay no attention to it. They're in control of both houses. Will not do anything to make any modifications to any of these spending programs. So I don't blame it all on him. Quite frankly, I know this is probably not a popular thing to say, but we couldn't afford this prescription drug bill. And I sat down at the kitchen table with my mama in Franklin, Tennessee, and we worked out the best plan for her, and she's on it now. Of course, she has the benefit of she knows that she's going to get hers. A lot of Americans don't. we need it. It should be a part of a Medicare package, but a part of an overall reform bill. Standing alone, we did a little bit of reform, but basically put a $72 trillion commitment on top of an already broken entitlement system. Not responsible thing to do. And a lot of smart politicians inside the Beltway said, this is a coup. This is a political coup. How much credit is the administration getting for that today? How often it is that the wrong thing to do for your country is also the wrong thing to do politically, ultimately. So I disagree with it. Now, having said that, I don't think that we ought to spend a lot of time wallowing in the past. I've talked about where I disagree and where I agree with the President on foreign policy. These are all legitimate issues because it gives you some insight as to where a guy is himself. But I think that he is a strong moral man who's doing what he thinks is in the best interest of the country, and his critics continue to make him look better all the time. When I look at his critics, the people are making his life miserable, but we've got to be willing to stand up and agree or disagree based on what you think yourself, and that's what I think. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I'm here today to advocate for better health. I'd like to know how you fit into your scheme of federal, state, and local government approaching health, particularly the problems that we have today. Which ones would you approach at the federal level, and which ones would you not?
Okay. On health care, I think that regardless of the level, the first thing that it's good to achieve is to first do no harm, like the doctor is supposed to do. There are a lot of things right with our healthcare system, including the quality of care that we get. All these people around the world's got these other systems, and they're a lot cheaper and things of that nature, and people tout their benefits. Look, see where they go when they get sick. It's right here. We're living longer. We're living better lives. These pharmaceuticals that cost an awful lot of money are keeping us alive. And healthier. I mean, it's a conversation that's very personal to me from a lot of different standpoints. And you got to recognize that and not do foolish things that temporarily respond to the demagoguery that somebody is carrying out, and preserve what we've got. We could get what's lacking is that there's too many deaths from infection in hospitals. There's too many medical mistakes. We need to do more in terms of electronic records and things of that nature. And there's a lot of improvement we need to make in a society like ours. There's no reason not to do that. Some people, well, all of us have privacy issues, and those have got to be protected. It's not as easy as it sounds. But those are the ups and the downs I see of the system. Okay, going forward, we can have that kind of system, at least that good a system. As technology grows and gets better, the pharmaceuticals keep coming and cures things tomorrow that we can't even cure today. We can keep that kind of system where it doesn't cost as much as it costs now. The experts that I read say that we can do all that at a lower cost. We should be able to do it at a lower cost. And that one of the main reasons the costs are so high is that the demand is so high. And we're locked into a system now where most of us that have insurance coverage, coverage of course being another issue we can talk about in a minute, but we don't have any knowledge about what anything costs. And so if we have a plan that allows it, we just consume all that we want to and don't compare what other doctor or hospital is offering and the quality and the cost and things of that nature. It's a nice thing, but the cost of that stuff is just going through the roof for the average family. So, okay, who's going to deal with the cost issue? Who's going to make the decision as to what's worth what? And there's some decisions we make for our loved ones, for ourselves, where literally money can be no object.